Is anybody in this room, has anybody ever been on a date? Yeah? Some people obviously don't have a social life, okay. Has anybody got married? Okay. Anybody got divorced? Okay. Social selling is a lot like a romantic relationship. You have the start where your eyes meet across the room. I say that's the hello part. You have a period of courtship, which is the getting to know you part. And then some of you might want to take the relationship a little bit further. So you might want to have a proposal and get married, okay? Which is the transactional part. Now, 62% of marketers believe that the saying hello to getting married part is the important part of marketing, which is the acquisition part. But if you spent as much time building that relationship and paying attention to the person after the relationship, after the marriage, and extending it, and paying attention to people who are already your customers, that's where the real money is. Okay. So let's talk about social selling, a definition for social selling. I believe it's not selling on social media, but it's using social media to attract, discover, and nurture relationships until customers are ready to buy. And very, very simply, I like to say it is converting conversations to customers. Now today I'm going to talk about Twitter. There's a lot of bad press about Twitter at the moment, and from all the accounts that you read in the newspapers, you would think that Twitter has died. I realize that the slides have been caught off, sorry. It says reports of my death have been exaggerated, and it's a Mark Twain quote. Now, I know at least a few of you have tweeted that you're here. So who's tweeted already today? Okay. There are 320 million active users of Twitter each month, and there's lots of opportunities on Twitter. But if you use Twitter just to broadcast and to spam people, you're not going to get the real growth, and especially in a business-to-business marketing environment. Okay, so a little bit about my Twitter journey. I would love to say I was born to tweet, but the reality is that when I started on Twitter, okay, it's a long time ago now, it's in 2009, everybody said you need to be on Twitter for your business. I set up an account and 2 days later I ran away. I just didn't get it. It was full of jargon. It shortened links that I didn't understand, and disjointed conversations. And it was only a few months later that I thought, okay, I've got to get to grips with this. I've got to pay attention to Twitter and learn how to use Twitter properly. That I did a course through Murray Smith, and within 2 weeks I started getting inquiries and doors started opening for me. And everybody kept on saying, well, how are you doing this? And I couldn't find anybody at that time to show people how to use Twitter in a strategic way, not, you know, this is the button that you push, etc. So I ended up doing started teaching people myself how to run businesses. Now, to use Twitter for business. I have probably worked with over 1,000 small and medium-sized businesses, teaching them how to use social media in general, but specifically Twitter. I teach internationally and speak internationally, and I've written 2 books. And I've got this book as a prop to remind me somebody in this audience is going to win this book, okay? Now I've got a challenge that's coming up towards the end of the talk, and if you're up for a challenge, you've got a chance to get this book, okay? Right, so when I start working with people, invariably one of the first things I do is I will look at what you're currently doing on social media. And on Twitter, these are the 5 most common mistakes that I see people making. Now, I put characteristics because if you were dating, would you date somebody who was described as pushy or selfish or lazy or confused or neglected? Okay? Now, the way we behave this way is some people, one of the common mistakes is that people think that Twitter is a free form of advertising. And all they do is post promotional and sales pitches, and they somehow expect that that's going to work. Other companies tend to be very company focused, so all they think about is themselves. All their links, so they may be producing good content, but all their links go back to the company, and the only time they ever retweet anybody is if somebody has said something nice. They may not even reply to that person, they'll probably just retweet them. And then you get people who set Twitter up on autopilot, and they've scheduled tweets, and they probably have automated the response. So if somebody follows you, they're the people who will send automatic thank yous, automatic DMs, which is a pet hate of mine, to be honest. And they leave it on autopilot and forget that it's about conversations and building relationships. Then you get people who just simply confused, and if you were to follow their Twitter stream, you would not have the slightest clue what they're up to or what their business is about or what they're talking about. And then there's a sad account, so when you go to their account, it's got cobwebs on it. You can tell that they only occasionally use their Twitter account. Maybe if they're speaking at an event or attending a seminar, that they actually pull out their Twitter account and do something on it. But the rest of the time it's neglected. Or worse still, they put their Facebook feed to automatically feed. So every time they post on Facebook, so all the Twitter stream has got little FB links and shortened, so like the words are abbreviated. So those are common mistakes I make, and if you would like me to look at your Twitter feed, after that you might be too scared to let me do, I'll tell you at the end how to do that, so like we can have a little chat and go through your Twitter feed. Okay. There's a lovely saying by Zig Ziglar: you can have everything you want in life if you just help enough people get what they want, okay? If you use the approach on Twitter of helping people and being customer focused and helping your customer solve their problem, you will get a different result than if you are just spewing out information and giving content that you want about your business. Okay, there are 3 elements that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about attracting people to you. Now, this is not just any arbitrary people, because if you were to tweet a lot, you will automatically get followers, but a lot of those followers will be bots. So they're not genuine followers, okay? So it's attracting the right people to you. I'm going to talk about how to discover both conversations as well as potential customers, and talk about nurturing that relationship so that you go from the hello to the courtship period to be able to ask for your hand in marriage, and then looking after the relationship once you're married, so you have the happily ever after. Okay. So there are 2 elements. Okay, the first one is going to do about attracting. Now this is the nice part. It's always lovely when people come to you and they're ready to buy and they pre-qualify themselves. Now that doesn't just automatically happen, that people think one day, what am I going to do? I need to use your business, okay? It comes from the 2 elements here. The first one is personal branding. Now, I believe people do business with people, even in a business-to-business environment. It's relationships that people build up with other people that count. Now, if you are a small business, your personality and your personal brand is very much your business brand. if you're a larger business, the ideal thing is to be able to empower your employees to be able to tweet and form those personal relationships so that everybody in the company is on the same page, that everybody is communicating and forming relationships, and that people can ask genuine questions. But that obviously you will need to set up policies if you're a bigger company, and you will need to make sure that your employees are trained so that they can use their professional hat when they're tweeting. Okay, just obviously places like LinkedIn are easier to do your personal profile, but on Twitter you have various spaces to put your branding. You have a banner. Okay, not everybody will see your banner that you put up there. You'll have a photograph. I really believe that photographs of people are more important than photographs of logos. Obviously, if you've got a company account, you'll have a logo. But I think if you've got a personal, or people tweeting on your behalf, you want their photographs up there because people connect with people. You have a bio, 160 characters in your bio. Is it clear what your business is about? And if it's a company account, it would be useful to have a few people you can change your bio to know who's tweeting. So who's tweeting for your business so that people have personal relationships, even if it's just somebody's initial, so that people feel that there's a real person. And often people won't be abusive if they actually know that there's somebody real at the end of the Twitter account. And then obviously you can pin a post. How many of you have a pinned post at the top of your Twitter account? Okay, good. We're getting there. Okay, so it's easy enough to pin a post. Have a look at your Twitter account when you go home and find a tweet that is a good representation, okay? And pin your best tweet to the top of your Twitter account. And then obviously people will judge you by the last, probably the last 5, because most people are too lazy to go much further. So have a look at your last 5 tweets. What does that say about you? Is it all about you? Is it confusing? Or are you showing that you're building relationships with people, that you're having conversations with people, or that you're giving great value and great content? The second part of attracting people is by producing good content. Now, you don't need to produce all the content yourself. In an ideal situation, you would produce all your content yourself, but there's tons and tons of information out there. So the ideal thing, what you want to do is find the intersection between what you want to say about your business and what interests your customer. And you want to find that sweet spot, and that is the type of content that you should be sharing. So many businesses get it wrong because all they do is they're talking about the company. You want to find something that is relevant to your business, that is also of interest to your customer. Now, with content, remember the stages of the hello, saying hello. You will produce different content for people who just finding out about you, okay? To attract people who don't know about you already, you will produce content for that. If you're going through the courtship period, the getting to know you stage, you want to be answering customers' questions. So those will be answering questions. And if you don't know what questions your customer's asking, go and ask people in the sales team, go ask people who are answering questions in the customer service. Go and ask your customers, existing customers already, of what is interesting for them. Any question that you answer all the time is something that you should be producing content. And ideally, your content should be helpful and interesting. And if you can make people smile, people remember, you create a warm fuzzy, as I call it, so people remember the way you make them feel. Okay. And as I said, you don't need to produce your own content. There is tons of content out there already. By sharing, you're showing that you care about some people. So I have retweeted. Okay, I know it's lazy just to retweet, but I'm standing here. So everybody who tweeted before I started speaking, I've retweeted you. I will speak to you privately, or I will send you a proper tweet when I've got a little bit more time. Okay, so sharing your content says I care about you. But when you write content, and I'm a blogger as well, you feel flattered when people share your content, and you notice who's sharing your content. And if you're trying to build a relationship with somebody, sharing their content is a useful way to get their attention. Ideally, if you can add a comment about it as well. Okay, if we move on to discover. Now, I'm sure everybody's grandmothers or mothers have said something along the lines that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we should use that in those ratios, okay? On social media, most people are just broadcasting. Most people do not actually listen to what's going on social media. And it's through listening you can find out more about your customers. You can find more about what interests your customers, and you can find out the type of questions. You can do research on it. The obvious thing to do is to monitor for mentions, but not just who's talking using your Twitter hashtag, your Twitter name. You want to monitor for mentions where people don't mention your Twitter name. Okay, so you'll do some searches for your company as well. And it's useful for finding out more. So you can find out more about what your competitors are up to. You can find out more about your customers and what they're talking about and what's interesting to them. Because how will you know when people ask friends or to recommend products and services that you offer unless you're listening? There are opportunities every day on Twitter. There are people who need your service or your product, but they just don't know about you yet. So if you don't find those conversations, you won't ever know. You'll miss those opportunities. Now the ways to monitor them, and I tend to use Hootsuite. I don't know what other people are using in this room. Maybe you can tell me what other ones you're using for monitoring. It's not that difficult just to set up a simple monitoring and listing dashboard. Okay, and then search. Now, how many of you have actually actively searched for customers? How many of you following customers or people on a Twitter list? Okay. It's worth monitoring people and paying attention to certain people. Give them attention. Twitter search, there's a lot more things than just looking for people's Twitter names. You can search for phrases and you can search for particular terms. Obviously hashtags are useful to search on, but how much time do you spend searching? And do you know that Twitter has an advanced search function? So who knew about that and who uses that? Okay, few people. Have a look. It's hidden, so you need to do a search within Twitter, and then it gives you the option. It's quite well hidden for the advanced Twitter search. You can go directly to Twitter advanced search if you do a search for it, and it will allow you to search in more depth. If you're using something like Hootsuite, you can do quite interesting searches on that as well. And I know that TweetDeck, there's talk of a premium TweetDeck happening at the moment, which will actually help you to do searches. I'm quite excited to have a little play with that when I get a chance. Okay, on to the next part with nurturing. We want to keep people happy for as long as possible. 71% of people will leave companies because of something that they're unhappy about. Now, how many of you got proposed to on the first time you went on a date? Nobody? Okay? Why is it that we think that when somebody says hello to us on social media, that gives us a right to sell to them? Okay? It's far too early in the relationship. Sometimes people will buy straight away, but mostly you need to get to know people. You know, say hello, take your customers or potential customers on a few dates and be nice to them, okay? Don't just go straight in for the sales pitch, because the number of people that I follow and they send me an automated DM with a sales pitch in it. How many of you have had those? Yeah, okay. That hasn't made you want to buy. Has anybody bought from an automated DM with a sales pitch? Okay, my point. Now, you can nurture people by engaging with them, having conversations, helping them. So if you see somebody's got a need, helping them. How about introducing them to other people? If you see somebody, it's not always about you, and it's not always about your business. If you know somebody who can help somebody who has a problem, and you put them in touch, people remember that. People will remember who has helped them along the way. And ideally what you want to do is you want to stay top of mind. And the easiest way is to put people on Twitter lists, but there's no point in putting people on Twitter lists unless you actually look at the lists occasionally. Now, Twitter doesn't make it easy to use lists. You probably want to use something like TweetDeck or Hootsuite to actually set up a dashboard so that you can monitor the lists in an easier way, okay? But how many of you have got set up Twitter lists? Okay. How many of you check your Twitter lists every week? Okay, fewer. It's easy to put people on a list. It's another thing to actually listen and pay attention to that list. I'll be adding anybody I can find using the hashtag or who's here talking about this. I'll be adding you to a list, and I'll be paying attention and tweeting what you're doing today. Okay. And remember, it's all about small gestures. Okay. There's gentle ways to do things to keep people on top of mind before people are ready to buy. But of course, you will want to at some point move them into having that conversation. And I just want to check in this room, how many of you have a completely e-commerce business? So how many of you are doing people, so there's a human interaction element of it, okay. From what I can gather, most of business is still done on an individual, either somebody phoning because they've got inquiries, meeting face to face, and it depends on your customer value and how long their buying decision is, okay? So it's the small gestures that build. So when you get to having that conversation or taking it forward, it should feel like a natural flow in the conversation. Now, I'm giving you the quote for, this is a Mayer quote. I've learned that people will forget what you say, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel, okay? So, are you ready for a challenge? Okay, who's up for a challenge? Yeah? You're not sure what I'm going to make you to do. I listened to a talk last week. I'm there in the front. I listened to a talk at Social Media Marketing World. I was in San Diego last week, and it's the people speaking were Andrew and Pete. They're a combination, and they were talking about fun things you can do and how you can make yourself more memorable. And they reminded me of something that I give lip service to, but I don't do that often, okay? It's creating a personal video for people on Twitter. Now, a few years ago, has anybody heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? Yeah, it's one or two people, okay? He's got amazing number of followers, and he's very, if you're on social media, you'll be aware of him. He tends to be quite prolific everywhere. He sent me probably an 8-second video where I'd been tweeting about that he was nice in real life because I'd actually met him in person, and he sent me a little video, probably 8 seconds long, and all it said was something along the lines of, "Hey Nicky," so he mentioned my name, I just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm in love with that guy for the rest of my life. I've become a super fan, okay? It's those small things that become very personal. Now, think about what the impact if you were to send not a sales pitch video at somebody, just a little thank you to a customer or somebody that you know or somebody that you are interested in becoming a customer, just saying, hi, I'm thinking of you, in effect, okay? Now, I'm not gonna make you send a tweet to your customers right now, but what I'm going to do is get out your smartphone, okay? So everybody, who's got their smartphones out? Just show me that you've got your smartphones, okay? Obviously, you've got a tablet or whatever, you can use that. Now, if you go onto Twitter and go to tweet, this is what we're going to do. So if you either type in or go to @Nicky Kriel, has everybody done that? Let me know when you've done. Okay. Now, what you're going to do is find the little camera icon on the tweet. When you click on the little camera icon, it opens up to either a camera or a video. And we're going to choose the video option. And all I want you to do is, okay, you're going to switch it over to selfie mode so that it is videoing you. I'm going to ask you to do is this, okay, so we're going to press record and you're going to say, hi, and you give your name, I'm at the B2B Marketing Expo. That's all, very simple, and then I'll tell you what the next step is, okay? So, are you ready? Okay, go for it. Okay? The next step is you're going to flip the camera over and you're going to record and just scan around the room so people can see your environment. Okay, the video clips add together, yeah? Okay, brilliant. You are brilliant, okay? I'm very impressed with you. I thought nobody get their camera out. Okay, now when you send that tweet, now some of you might not want to press the send, just add the hashtag B2B UK, which is the hashtag for this expo. And you can add the hashtag if you want to, which is Nicky made me do it, okay? And send it to me. Okay, one of you who actually sends me a video will get this, okay? I will tweet you while you're here, and if you've gone, I will send it in the post to you, okay? So one of you who takes the risk of sending a video will get this, okay? Right, we will see how many videos come through, but at least a few of you took it. The reason I made you do it is it's all very, okay, my phone's vibrating, I think things are coming through. The reason I made you do it is it's very easy to just hear somebody say something, but it's actually taking that action and doing it, and this is just a little bit of fun, there's no risk to it. So, but think about how you can use this for your business to build relationships with people.